Fantastic and wonderful science being discussed here. Whenever I attend conferences like these, I sometimes feel, what am I doing in the industry? I should be back in the labs or maybe with the patients. And perhaps my 8 to 10 minutes here will be kind of give a restful period to your brains that have been firing action potentials for the last few lectures. So I'll just try to calm those neurons down. Nothing is spectacular. Whenever I'm with Dr. Vanavali or Dr. Sudhir Gupta or Dr. Andre, and we are discussing these concepts, there's so much happening, there's so much going on, and which brings us to the topic which we in the industry discuss a lot. We sometimes tend to be product-centric. We are always talking about product and then the environment around it, rather than being patient-centric. So we discuss what, especially in India, because here not every patient has the ability to come to a center like Tata Memorial. There are thousands and thousands of patients who do not have access to such facilities. So how do we go beyond the products which need to be administered in a certain setting and become patient-centric? So those are the thoughts that creep, and when I looked at the title page of this, again I saw that the tumor, or in effect the patient is in the center, and around this patient we are building the anti-cancer therapy or immunotherapy or angiogenic or anti-inflammatory or surgical, you name it. So with that concept going forward, if industry has to have patient at the center and the ideation and execution of new ideas around it, leading to some newer solutions that help the patient, there definitely needs to be a collaboration between, we all know, clinicians, academia, industry, payers, regulators, and this intense collaboration is something that is going to yield good results. The collaboration can be as simple as today, where the industry has collaborated in order for this non-product centric discussion, pure scientific discussion to happen, so that we can do more and more in these kind of newer therapy areas, so that we can help the patient. The problem for us in the industry is that for years and decades we have known just one model of drug development. That model starts with search. I'm deliberately not calling it research, and you will know why in a few minutes. We start with search, discovery, lab scale production, then preclinical, we scale up a little bit, we do clinical trials, industrial scale, and it leads to clinical practice. This is what we are used to. We have developed all kinds of systems around it. We have developed a commercial model around it. We have developed a research model around it. The regulatory model is built around it. The problem happens, we especially in the industry, we go a little bit confused when we see the other model, which I'm seeing today, is the metronomic model, where it's starting with clinical practice and ending with clinical practice. So it's clinical practice which is leading to some research, and I'm calling this research now, and then maybe some reformulations need a different dosage compared to the MTD concept. Some kind of different kinds of preclinical studies required, different types of clinical trials required, and then we perhaps go to industrial scale if required, and then it goes back to the clinical practice. So this is a model that we don't understand, we have no idea about, and in a small project, in a small beginning that we have made, that I'll come to in a couple of slides, when I was facing my stakeholders, different stakeholders within and outside the company, I felt like a third-year medical student, because whatever questions they were asking me about this model, I had to say, sorry, I don't know, because that is in front of the external examiner in third year, that is probably we knew what to say most often. So whether these are regulatory pathways, whether these are investment and revenue models, when I'm facing my colleagues in the industry, the answer is I have no clue. But then that makes this even more interesting. We do need to start somewhere. We have followed the same old path for a long time. And here, coming from academicians like you, coming from clinicians like you, there is a new path that was discussed extensively throughout today and yesterday, and which seems to be pretty exciting. And the role of the industry here is that we collaborate more and more, whether it is in the discovery, in the early development stage, or in whatever. So one example, that a small beginning that we have made, is basically with the metronomic pill, for which we are collaborating with many of the people sitting here. The steering committee and the investigators are here. basically believing in the same thing, that some drastic discovery and some drastic innovation is not something that changes the course of the world. It is more the application of the discoveries to solve global inequities that is where, and especially in countries like India, that is where we see the future is, and that is where we need ideas and collaborations with accomplished scientists like you. This study is very simple, and it's a fixed dose combination of capecitabine and cyclophosphamide, where we think the proposition is that one formulation which is given as a flat dose, no differences in terms of body surface area and weight and other things, given to all women. Right now we are doing it only for metastatic breast cancer, will perhaps provide an effective, well-tolerated, affordable and accessible treatment. The key word here is accessible, because that is what we face day in and day out. You face as clinicians and we as industry. The accessibility of these treatments beyond certain cities, big cities, maybe 15 or 20 in number in total, is a big issue in a vast country of 1.25 billion people in India. So this is a small project that we are working on. We are collaborating very closely with many of the investigators here. Dr. Andre is involved. And perhaps this is a small beginning, and we look forward to many more such ideas emanating out of conferences and meetings like these, where we can collaborate, where we can work together, and where we don't have the product as the center of our universe, where we have the patient as our center of universe, and we move forward. That's all for my action potential break. Thank you very much.